So maybe leads us into what we're here to talk about today, and that's the beginning of what we believe is going to be the tsunami wave of technology that's being built. And we have to start somewhere. So I think obviously everybody knows what the internet is. Everybody knows pretty much how it was started, what companies are involved. Everybody knows what Google is. Everybody knows what Microsoft is. And all the big players that have come along the way with Amazon and Cisco and some of these other big gigantic companies that are using the internet, to change things in the world. So where we're going to start is our journey into a technology called blockchain, and really is the basis of everything that we're going to talk about probably over this next year, because everything's being derived from this unbelievable invention. And I think it's important that our audience, and hopefully questions that you may have about blockchain, will help everybody understand.
Oh, and I have a million of them. So
Well,
I hear blockchain and I'm like, block and a chain. Do we put those together? How do they go together?
Well, the thing that when I first heard that term was way back. I heard of Bitcoin before I heard of blockchain.
And I've heard of Bitcoin too, as well. Blockchain's pretty new to me, personally.
Bitcoin just popped out because it was something that you could actually physically do. You could buy, you could transact. It was actually something, that made sense if you talked about it for 2 minutes. But blockchain is the underlying technology that makes that possible. Without blockchain, there would be no Bitcoin. So
kind of like without the app world, there would be no apps.
Right. Without, the internet itself, there would be no Amazon.com. There would be no internet banking. There would be, there would be no phone service like we have it today. So the internet really powers almost anything that we're doing, right, on a daily basis. Blockchain is, you can equate it to like the internet. It's the underlying technology that's going to make everything else work.
So, to back everything up a little bit, who started it? Why was it started to begin with? And what is it? What does it do for me?
What does it do for you?
At the end of the day, that's what I want to know, and all of our viewers are going to want to know.
Okay, let me see. All right, probably the easiest way is just to start from the very beginning. It was originally designed or a thought of and implemented all the way back in 1991. So this started, 30 years ago?
Wow.
Basically.
And I'm just now hearing about it.
Yeah. That's kind of how technology works, right? You have very, very forward-thinking, extremely smart nerds, right, that develop stuff, and then it takes many years usually before that becomes something that can be put into practice and used to the masses. So it does take a while. It doesn't happen overnight typically. But it was started by two guys, one guy named Stuart Haber and another guy, Scott Stanetta. And these guys were trying to develop a way to keep timestamps on documents from being altered. So somebody couldn't go in and change, like on, say, like exams and things like that. Somebody couldn't change the date or contracts or something like that. So they were looking at ways to, have a data system that was tamper-proof. That's what they were looking to do. And they really did kind of come up with the concept and how to implement it. So blockchain kind of started there. But never really took off in any kind of way. Nobody really saw this and said, oh, this is a great technology. We can use it to do this. So it kind of sat on the shelf till late 90s, I think around 98, 99. And then we're going to kind of get into this a little bit because I think it kind of plays into what we're doing now. But right around 1997, 98, there was a gentleman named Nick Szabo. And this gentleman's name's probably going to come up a lot here in the future. because what he did is in 1998 he saw this technology that these guys had come up with, and he was the brainchild to say, hey, we could use this for financial transactions. So we wouldn't need a bank to transact money. We wouldn't need somebody say it's okay to give you money. So, and we wouldn't have to do it in cash. So we wouldn't need a bank. We wouldn't need a government. We wouldn't need borders. I could give you $100 right now. Let's just say I'm in Cleveland, Ohio, and you're in Beijing, China, and we're talking on the phone. I want to send you $100. I mean, typically, what would you have to do? You'd have to go to Western Union, or you'd have to go to the bank, do a wire transfer, but
pay the fees.
And all those things. You're asking somebody else for permission to send this money, whether it be a service like Western Union or a bank. In Western Union, you're going through a bank anyway. So you're asking for permission, right, from somebody. Somebody has to facilitate all this. What he came up with, Mr. Sable came up with, was a way to circumvent all that, was for you to control your own means of money and send it directly to the person that you want to get it with nobody in between. So seemed like a great idea, right? But again, just like when the two gentlemen that came up with the technology, it never went anywhere. It was an idea. I think it was called BitGold, something like that. BitGold, I believe, is what it was called. And it just was before its time. It wasn't ripe, wasn't ready. I mean, timing is everything with technology. So it was ahead of its time, and it never took off. It was just kind of an idea, and it never really went anywhere. So kind of the technology and the concept of what our first app was going to be on blockchain was thought about in the 90s. Kind of put on the shelf all the way up until 2006-ish, 2007, when it got its legs. So the invention of blockchain theory kind of happened in the early 90s, probably even long before that, would be my guess. The theory of what blockchain is probably happened before that, but 1991 was the first use case. 1998 was the second use case, and it wasn't until around 2008 where it really became something. So, that's kind of the lineage of time frame of this technology. So I think that answers one question. Second question is, what is it?
Right.
So,
what is a block in a blockchain?
A block, there's a lot of technical stuff that goes into that. But let me read what the technical definition is, and then we'll kind of talk about it in layman's terms. So blockchain, it's a purely what could I say? That would be that would be something that would be a little bit easier to understand. Well, all right. Blockchain is a distributed database that is shared among the nodes of a computer network. As a database, a blockchain stores information electronically in a digital format. How about that? Now you got it, right? Now we could just move on to everything else, right?
Currency in a digital format. Basically.
Well, that's what Bitcoin is, but what we're talking about is blockchain. So, blockchain is, again, you can think of it as the internet. You can think of it as like the internet. It's like this table, and we're going to build a bunch of stuff on this table. We're going to put our microphones on here, and it's our cell phones. We're going to put our Patron and our Corona Extra. We're going to build all this stuff on this table, which is the internet. You can think of blockchain as the same thing. So we're going to build things on this technology. And
there's separate blocks you can build off of, correct?
Sort of, yeah. You could think of the blocks as just blocks of data, and they're linked to each other, hence the word blockchain. So they're kind of chained to each other, and they use chain because it's permanent. It's not like they're just tied. They're really chained together for life. So as you put data into these blocks and these blocks get verified, then those blocks become solid for life. They're stamped on the internet forever. They can't be changed. They can't be altered. They can't nothing. So
hacked.
Nothing. Nope. Once they're validated and they're as a block, then boom, it's forever. Once that block fills up, goes on to another block. So this goes on now millions of times over and over again, depending on what information is being put into that block. So it could be financial information, it can be data, it could be contract information, it can be art, it can be music, it could be a lot of things that go into these blocks of information, because that's really all it is just chained together blocks of information.
And since it's like that, since it's time stamped, all that good stuff, how is it what makes it so trusted?
As far as you put something on there, you trust that it's not going to be altered and changed. Yes. And whatnot. Well, not getting too technical into,
if you're going to put financial information and just different things like that on there,
you got to trust.
Right.
Well, it comes trustless when you have a network of computers. So let's just break it down. We want to do a financial transaction for $1, and we want to little diagram up here. So we want to send this dollar bill to somebody. So what we're going to do is we're going to send the information of who we are, who we want it sent to, and we're going to put it into the block. And that block is connected to many computers all over the world. These are you can think of them as validators. They call them miners, but they're really validators. They're validating this information is correct. Like your dollar is $1, and this is the wallet that it's going to. This is the wallet you're sending it from. All this is legit, and we're validating this. That's what all these computers are doing out there. Once they get enough of these transactions, they'll put them into a block and validate them. So you're not trusting any one person or one computer system. You're basically trusting that there's thousands of computers out there that are validating, saying, yes, this is all correct information and valid. And boom, the stamp gets put on it. So without having to know exactly how, there's tons of videos out there that people can resource to find out exactly how a blockchain transaction takes place. I don't really think it's that important that everybody knows the exact technical details of that, because it really doesn't matter at this point in time, because we have proven that blockchains work. The technology works. It is immutable. It is borderless. It is decentralized. It is all these things that we've been told it is. Do we need to know? If you're a developer, you need to know. So that's a whole different ballgame. If you're developing apps, you're developing technology, then yeah, you got to know that stuff. But for the average person that's out there that wants to know how to be involved in technology, they just need to know those basic terms, that it's the underlying technology that everything is being built on. And it's what allows things like Bitcoin to work. Okay. Without blockchain, there would be no Bitcoin. Bitcoin couldn't work. It's using the blockchain technology to be able to function.